Look who we got here. Somebody that we haven't seen in about 20 years is
Hello there.
Late and great.
Good to see you.
George Humphrey.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I see who it is. Yes.
Tell us what you've been up to.
Oh my goodness. Isn't this a great day?
Yes.
It is amazing.
Tell us why you're here, Hurry, because it's my Facebook.
My heart is heavy for the world, but my heart is also happy for the good people here. We need to get back to work, and we need to realize that this cure, it's not a cure, it's not about a virus, it's about political control. And we are free and sovereign, and we have the choice to either be slaves or to be free. I choose to be free, yes.
Well, guess what I did? I bought about $20,000 worth of editing equipment and hired some people to put all the tapes on for the last 25 years, and you're on there. So I want you to, and I'm gonna plug my YouTube channel.
Okay, great.
Mike Hanson
of course,
Archives,
of course.
Hanson Archives, and Waco Archives.
I didn't recognize you at the start.
Okay, so I need you to say, this is George Humphrey, and I love Mike Hanson Archives.
This is George Humphrey, and this guy is awesome. Mike Hanson, the Mike Hanson Archives. Check it out.
You're on there. We just put about 3 tapes of you on there, and you had slick black hair then.
Now it's all dyed.
All right. God bless y'all. We'll see you in a minute.
Out. Now, the cover of the Chronicle, 120,000 copies go out, correct?
Right.
And we've got Bill Elshire, county commissioner that runs the county, a corrupt little sniveling liar who's just full of himself, worked for Doggett's campaign, total sycophant loser. I don't mean to turn and say that, but that's what Elshire's a liar. They had a $13 million overage. I went down there and talked about it. He said there is no overage. We fixed it. Then he comes out 3 days later in the Statesman last week, not this week, but last Thursday, and says it's the biggest tax increase I've ever voted for. Now, tell your story, George Humphrey.
Well, first of all, I've been fighting tax increases for a long time, and I saw this article, and I've known Bill for a long time, and on a personal level, Bill and I get along just fine, but I very much disagree with his politics and his philosophy. Bill was elected the county judge.
Now let's stop for a second. They're taking people's houses. He is a piece of garbage. Go ahead.
Okay. He was elected county judge, head of the county commissioners 12 years ago. Figures don't lie. At that time, the total county budget was $79 million. 12 years later, today, the total county budget is $301 million. That represents a 281% tax increase over 12 years, or that represents a 23.6% increase in tax levies per year. Now, if you compare that to the population of Travis County that has gone up at about 3% a year and inflation at 3.5% a year, that means that tax levies have gone up at 320% greater than inflation or population would suggest. Folks, this is an absolute orchestrated movement toward consolidating government.
And that reflects all across the country.
Yeah, and the problem is that AISD has increased their tax levies relatively even more. They have increased their tax levies 501% over the same period of time.
Tell that story about the group you spoke to today.
And, well, I talked to a group called the Art Bell Chat Club, and at the end of the meeting, this lady came up to me. She was a very sweet lady, and she said, look, my property has been increased in appraisal so much that I cannot pay my taxes on it. I'm going down to formal tomorrow, but if they pass this thing, I am going to lose my home. And she's had this for the last 25 years.
But General Drago of the Soviet Union believes the serfs should not have homes. We will give them government housing in a compact city.
Folks, the incredible increases in local property taxes and other fees and permits is unbelievable. We're talking about increases of 25% per year chronically for the last 10 years. Now get this, folks.
Judge Elshire does well for us.
This year, the county budget is $301 million, and Bill Elshire said there would be no tax increase. Folks, tax levies for this coming year are not going to be $301 or $350 million. They're $438 million. We're talking about $137 million increase.
Now, wait a minute. I heard a few years ago that the age of big government's over.
It's unbelievable. The bureaucrats are protecting themselves, and the reason is because the people of Austin, who used to be extremely concerned and vigilant about local taxes and about our government, have become disenfranchised. They have seen the shenanigans that are going on, and they don't feel they can make a difference. And because they are not down there, the AISD, the city, and the county have increased our taxes, and the relative size of local government is increasing astronomically.
Now, Elshire, they say he's leaving politics. What a load of crap. He's going back to law school. He'll be running for Congress the next year.
Around the federal buildings, they had people on Fox News in black ski masks and black helmets and Fox News called them Clinton's dark minions. I mean, they are unveiling the police state. Let's take some calls, George.
Okay, great.
And then I want to talk about what's going on locally, how Judge Elshire, a Democrat pump, has worked for big-time Democrat campaigns. In the Chronicle is supposedly kind of an ass, but at the same time, he's
look at this. You've got to look at this thing.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's kind of against big government. You know. I mean, just you want to see the doublespeak, and see, not everybody's part of the doublespeak and part of the lies, but we're brought up in a culture of it, so it's a language. We naturally learn it, and everything is semantics, everything is words, and we're being manipulated. We're like a rat in a maze. They set up corridors for us to go down, and we accept the corridors as reality. Okay, that's all I'm saying. The fraud is so out of control. I mean, it literally is a false reality, my friends. That is what we're engaging in. It's total 100% con artistry. It is a dog and pony show.
It's called Operation Mockingbird. It was set up in 1948 by the CIA, and as you know, a mockingbird is a bird that mimics other birds. And a lot of this mirage, of this illusion, is being created.
Yeah, you watch commercials, you see things. I mean, look at the movies. The person who's cool, who gets all the girls, can't hardly spell his name, is a bumbling idiot, is drunk. You do that in the real world, you're going to be a loser. That's what they want you. They want you in substandard, compact cities. In fact, we're going to talk about the city and the county in a second after these calls. And I'm sure you read it because you read most of the major papers. Here, the Augsburger Statesman had Kirk Watson, our mayor of the city, openly saying he wants compact cities just like the eastern U.S. or Europe. We're Texas. We're spread out already. That only works in cities that are 1,000 years old, 200 years old, where the streets are 6 feet wide. And it's about control, guys. They want you under their control.
There's a debt virus, and Kirk Watson and the rest of the city council are going to be proposing a $550 million bond issue this November. Folks, that's $500 million.
And they just passed three props. One prop for $65 million for a political cash cow.
Folks, we have the highest per capita bonding indebtedness, even if you take out the general revenue bonds. On general obligation, our per capita debt is out of sight.
We'll explain the fraud here in a second.
We will.
Hello, caller.
Yeah,
I can't hear you in here.
Hello. Yeah, Alex, George.
Let me put you on hold. We're going to need to wiggle the wiring behind in here.
Mike, you might want to come in and turn this up for us.
Yeah. Well, just it's turned up. It's just having a problem behind it. Yeah, Mike, if you just wiggle the wires behind some of the equipment. Again, this is not staged BS. This is not pre-taped teleprompter reading. This is people in here trying to do a public service.
No, and this is something that's really incredible. The city of Austin, we are very, very fortunate. We have one of the best public access systems in the whole country, and for that, we're very, very fortunate.
Absolutely.
Very, very few cities have this.
Hello, caller.
Yeah, Alex, George, thanks for having me on. My question is about the Federal Reserve, and I understand it fairly good at this point, but I have the question of how...
Go ahead. We can't really hear you, but keep talking. We can hear you in the other room. Go ahead.
My question is for George is, if Congress prints the money, then how would that be any better? Because all the people right now that own the Federal Reserve, as far as the private, because it is private. I mean, I can own part of the Federal Reserve if I want, if I've got money, right?
Okay, I can't hear everything, but the one thing I did hear is if Congress prints the money, how would that make that better?
Well, can't people still milk it?
And we can't hear exactly what you're saying, but I think I hear your question. Our founding fathers asked for, wrote up in the first article of the Constitution, in Article 1, Section 8, and Article 1, Section 10, that we would have a publicly owned, decentralized bank with a hard currency. And the fact is that if we have a decentralized bank that has a hard currency, we can issue currency with no debt. It is backed by gold. This has been done 4 times in the history of this country. From 1782 through 1792, we created no debt. And then when Jackson came in 1832, for 7 years, we had constitutional money. And he took us out of debt because they paid off the bills without creating Federal Reserve Board notes. And in other words, we paid using a hard currency. In 1861, Abraham Lincoln went to Lincoln greenbacks. He issued $430 million of Lincoln greenbacks during the Civil War. England was trying to lend us money at 19%, and Lincoln knew that we would go bankrupt if we ever took this loan. But his Secretary of State said, and his Secretary of Treasury said, read the Constitution, and we paid our Union soldiers and vendors using Lincoln greenbacks backed by gold. We almost got out of debt during that period of time, and after he was killed, after Lincoln was assassinated, his granddaughter wrote a book called This One Mad Act, in which she said John Wilkes Booth, even though he was a Confederate sympathizer, was actually hired by the Bank of England to assassinate Lincoln because they didn't want interest-free banking to spread to Europe. With both McKinley and Garfield, they both issued statements opposed to debt created in non-constitutional money. Both were murdered within 3 weeks. Louis McFadden, a Democrat from Pennsylvania, between 1926 to 1936, made dozens and dozens of impassioned and very articulate speeches about having constitutional money. He was assassinated, and John Fitzgerald Kennedy...
Look, it's very historical. Kennedy issued the same things. This is the source of their power. This is the great delusion. This is their mama cow. This is the milk cow. Caller, the phone's fixed.
Wait. Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
I got another question for George. But the thing that seems to me, at the state of our economy, it's so vast. There's so many material things as compared to what there was a long time ago.
You hit something on the head.
Services.
You hit something on...
So does gold have to go up in value, tremendously to cover all the extra currency needed to barter? Or?
No, it doesn't, because between 1796 and 1913, when the population of the United States increased many-fold and the industrial might of this country increased even greater, the total inflation between that period of time was only 21.5%. Between 1913 to today, with the Federal Reserve Board, we have had 1,450% inflation, and it's going to get a heck of a lot.
Well, look, I'm going to explain the caller's question. Now, most of you have gone to the government training centers, as did I, okay? And there's a lot of stuff that's a lot flashier and will tantalize your brain a little bit better. But this is what it comes down to, okay? And I'm fixing to tell you. The modes of production have come up to the point soon that the government will be able to take 90% of what you make of your labor, but there'll be so many trappings of success, trappings of power, decent vehicles, nice clothes, decent housing. Okay, but the problem is that cycle goes down because there's no incentive for the establishment once they have you fully dumbed down under their control to take good care of you. And besides, it squelches, it squashes the human spirit. Don't you want some control over your own destiny? That's why America's had more patents, more innovations than any other nation in the world, because we had some modicum of freedom. We've never been perfect. Nobody's perfect. It's the human fault. Also, the human's greatest gift is that we have free will. So it just comes down to this. Give up the cheeseburgers, give it all up, and get involved. And what I mean by give up the cheeseburgers is get in, just realize that all the pettiness, the baubles, the jewelry, the crap doesn't matter. Family matters, strength matters, and having at least some real information in your life matters. And who cares what your friends think if they have been sucked in by the groupthink? It doesn't matter. And you know, the government's gotten you so indoctrinated that nobody has the answer and nobody has it right, nobody has it wrong. I said this so many times. There's no cult compound. There's no follow Alex or follow George. It's get involved with yourself. Realize that you have a capacity to be a creative entity here on this planet, and you don't have to only react to everything you see and hear. You can be proactive and be involved. Let's take some calls. Thanks for holding, caller. Hello, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes.
Two quick questions. About 5 or 6 months ago, I don't know if it was on your program, there was a great 3 or 4 hour video on the money changers and the IMF.
Yeah, that's Capital Crimes. I've run it. George has run it. We've all run it.
Yeah, it was on this morning, as a matter of fact.
Is there any way to get a copy of that video?
We can't discuss that. I'll tell you this. We do not sell that video. We just play it here for you. We bust our butts to transfer it over. You know, to put a show on down here, you don't
There's
just...
a fellow who did it. His name is William Still. He's a great guy.
Yeah. To put on a show, you just don't come down and throw a tape in a pile. We go through a lot of trouble to bring you this information.
Last question. Do you feel like that people should be getting out of the stock market now? Do you feel like a depression's coming?
Well, now it's a little late. I mean,
No. It's actually, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
It's going to keep plummeting. You've had some losses now, but I was telling people a year ago.
Folks, the average stock today after the drop is still at a price-earnings ratio of 22 to 1. The average high-tech stocks that we're talking about are 60 to 1. That means that you would have to have 60 years of profits and earnings just to pay for your stock. Folks, this is Looney Tunes. At 22 to 1, you're talking about a 4% earnings, and then they only pay half of that in dividends.
See, George, we can tell them this all day. I know people are smart and understand it. The point is, when it crashes, they'll just say stock market crash. They won't connect that it was done intentionally to consolidate wealth. Wealth is not destroyed, it's merely transferred.
And that is the most important point. What is happening right now is an international set of events by escalating the money supply, especially from Japan, to increase what's called M3. That money is coming here, pumping up our stock market. The people in the United States, the middle income, are putting their money into it, and then they're going to be fleeced. They're going to constrict the money supply.
Any more questions, caller?
The market will go down. People will be bankrupt. Bankruptcies this year are at the highest level we've ever had, and what they want to create is what's called Hegelian theory. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis, or problem, reaction, solution. They create a problem.
Create fear.
Create fear. Everybody gets scared. They want a solution. They want security. They want big daddy government to take care of it. Folks, we are being set up in the stock market right now.
It's a way to confiscate wealth.
It is. And folks, learn from history. Just look at who is creating the money. Greenspan and Rubin, the guy who's head of the Treasury, Rubin, was a former head of Goldman Sachs. He's a bad guy. His allegiance is not with the United States of America. He is for a one-world government. He said so. Look at history. Do a little bit of reading in the non-establishment papers.
Appreciate the information, and y'all are doing a great job.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
I know for a lot of people it's hard to grasp and understand because it's so big.
Folks, when I first I was a Keynesian economist. I was taught the whole stuff about how if you went in, it had deficit spending, it was good for the economy. When I was taught about fractional reserve banking, I became almost physically and emotionally sick for days because it burst the whole dream, the whole bubble. Folks, what we're saying, again, we're saying don't necessarily believe us, but go and do your own, listen to what we're saying and do your research.
Let's take a few more calls. Hello, you're on the air.
Two quick questions for George. On the video, Capital Crimes, William Still warns about going back to gold-backed currency.
That's because it's 14 times less plentiful, and silver is something that people can't corner easily.
And another reason is that Fort Knox has not been audited since 1952. This is the gold supply of the United States.
It's been transferred.
We have been robbed, folks.
In 1933, your illustrious big government president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, after they brought you to your knees from 39 to 33 for 4 years, came in and said the solution is to take the gold up from people. They took the gold up, gave us paper back that they printed. Oh, there's a nice man. Now, there's J.P. Morgan. That's J.P. Morgan, a friendly fella, loving fella, a British agent. He was supposedly worth billions when he died. He was
absolutely worked for the Rothschilds.
Well, when he died, the British Rothschilds Bank in England, whenever he died, he had almost no money.
Yeah, because anyway, the fact is that 60% of all the
Nathan Rothschild.
of all the gold that is printed that is created in the United States in gold coins, you know who buys it? Chinese. The Chinese who live in Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines. They're internationalists are buying our gold. All the gold is leaving our country.
Warren Buffett bought half of the 1998
Silver.
market of silver. And he's the supposedly second richest man in America.
Folks, and today, both the gold and silver markets went down tremendously. In the last couple of days, gold has gone from 285 down to 276. And the reason is because the Russians, who have the largest stockpile of gold in the world,
are going to turn it loose.
Totally broke. They are wiped out, and they're trying to get cash. They're dumping like crazy.
And see for paper money they print, caller, and they send out all over and get these idiots into Ponzi schemes. Doesn't mean anything to them. They're charging us interest and scamming us, and I don't mean interest on a car or a house. That's free market. I have nothing against that. We're talking about me printing this, charging the citizen just to use it. I mean, that's what we're talking about before I take it and loan it to you. So it's just the ultimate scam. And then everybody's gold, their houses, their silver, their intellectual properties, it all goes down the tubes. Answer your question?
Yes. Now, if the most of the gold is in the hands of these people now, or if we would be against the wall by going back to a gold currency, what do we do? Go back, I mean, what do we base our money on?
Gold is not the only reason. What we need talking about is a hard currency.
Monetary reform.
Monetary reform based upon a constitution.
I have a new idea. Our federal government controlling the coining and printing of money. That's one of the few things that it is expressly by the Constitution said to do.
It said it's only supposed to be gold and silver.
And we do have enough silver in this country to back it. And that's why in 1962 is that they put so much pressure on Nixon. Yeah.
Now, George, are you familiar with this British buyout of Amoco oil? Have you seen?
I'm not.
Everything's being bought, sir.
Yeah, it looks like every single thing.
Chrysler's
from lease to oil to gold to everything is being consolidated in the hands of just a few people. Are
folks,
they just robbing us before they kill us? Come to kill us?
Folks, the biggest buyout in the history of this world is going to happen in the next 2 and 3 months. You know where it's going to take place? In Russia. They are buying all of their utilities, their gold, their silver, their hydro, their gas, all.
And we just did that to Mexico. It's not we. It's the enemy that just is centralized here in the U.S. and Europe.
The big money is going into Russia right now.
Look, here's the point. This is the fraud. I'm going to go over one more time. They take the money. They charge us to print it. They charge us for the banks just to loan it out if you're not member banks. I don't mean FDIC, federally insured. That's your money insuring that for other scams. We're talking about a set group of banks, 1913 banks. We may read some out on the air later, who had a set deal where they are licensed to print the money, make the profits off the printing of the money. They charge you for the right to even have the paper money. Then it's passed out to be charged at interest.
Federal Reserve notes are not money according to the Constitution. They are credit notes. They have no value, zero value.
Look, to create a dollar, they create a dollar of debt. Let's talk to somebody else. What's going on, caller?
Yeah, one of the biggest companies here in Austin issues stock incentives as part of one of their to get them to work for you, and he's also one of the richest men in the world at the moment. What do you think about that? And
you think Dell's one of the richest people in the world?
He's one of the richest people in the United States.
Is that what they put? Is that what they put in Forbes for you to read? I'm not being patronizing.
Yes, it is in Forbes.
Yeah, it's a load of crap. Bill Gates is starting to get up there. They're threatened by him because he's new money. Dell is no big deal. I'm telling you, guys, there's old money that was openly. Just the Rockefeller interest alone had up to $2 to $4 billion turn of the century. $4 billion? That's what they said they had? And people think their wealth just went away? No, they have been petting and creating and cajoling us to think that they've just disappeared. Now they're just congressmen and senators, and now they just chair 20 corporations, every grandson and son. I mean, it's all interlocked evil. It's aristocracy. It's a con game, guys, and that's their big secret. And to talk about what's being consolidated, to talk about what's being bought and what's being taken over, this is what's being taken. Okay? Everything's being transferred. Chrysler was bought. Most of our pharmaceutical companies that were privately owned or owned by U.S. stockholders are being purchased by Britain and Germany. Britain and Germany, not Japan, are buying everything.
Well, in answer to your question, Dell, Michael Dell clearly is very wealthy, but just like Alex said, he's small potatoes in comparison to the big guys. Folks, even if he's worth $1 billion, $2, $3, $4, $5 billion, he's small potatoes. Now, if you work for Dell, I think it's a great idea that the employees have stock. I think that participation in the company is a great
And that's a good company. That's why technology stocks, Intel, reportedly makes the best microprocessors from people that are in the industry, even outside of Intel. They're under attack by the Justice Department. Bill Gates, new money, last 20 years, under full-scale attack.
Right.
They cannot stand new money. Get it together. It's us, the middle class, the new money, against them, the old degenerate inbred filth. Now that's what it comes down to. Answer your question?
Yes, you did. I appreciate it.
Take care. They make their money out of fraud. Let's take 2 more calls, and then, Mike, what's the next piece we're going to? He'll come tell us. Hello, you're on the air.
Yes, I just wanted to know what your suggestion would be on having a 401k.
Well, I say get out of it first of all. First of all, the mutual funds, the 401ks, the IRAs, in the history of the United States is that traditionally Americans have put about 27 to 30% of their disposable resources into paper, either stocks and bonds. Today in the United States, in the last 5 years, that number has gone up from about 35% to 72%. Everything goes in cycles, and the fact is that we're putting twice as much of our money relatively into these stocks and bonds. And folks, the market not only is inflated, but if you put your money into mutual funds or to IRAs or 401ks, they have a nasty little mechanism called derivatives. A derivative is a new funding mechanism in which you have...
It's betting on a stock.
It's
betting on a mutual fund.
When you buy a stock, you get a share of the company with it. A derivative, it is a derived index based upon a piece of paper.
You're betting on the horses.
And instead of being leveraged at 2 to 1, the average derivative is leveraged at 35 to 1. So if it goes up, you're making a heck of a lot of money. But because it's a zero-sum game, it has to come back to zero. When the money supply stops, it will go down at 35 to 1. And if you have a mutual fund in every major mutual fund company
okay,
that
well,
I'm
what
aware
can she
of,
do? Okay,
get out of it.
We know there's fraud involved.
Yes,
and not only will it take your equity of the derivatives, it will swallow up your whole mutual fund. Folks, when the derivatives hit, such as what happened in Orange County last year or in Singapore with the 28-year-old investor for Barclays Bank, he lost $8 billion in 2 days. Folks, the derivative market, when it starts going, it will fall so fast, so hard, and any of you that have your mutual fund have any of those, you're gone.
Ma'am, does that answer your question?
Actually, I had one more.
Okay, because we're getting behind. We have to get to some local issues.
I'll make it real quick. We were told that between taxes and penalties, we lose a bunch, like from 5,000 to 1,300. Just trying to get out of it.
Absolutely. The mutual funds and 401ks are set up so that the people who invested in them are penalized if they try and get out.
Exactly.
Folks, it is just like Social Security. It's a racket. They get your money. They don't want to let you go. They don't tell you that when you start putting your money in there, but if you try and get your money out, the penalties are significant, but it's better to have your money than it is to get wiped out.
But in a way, it's even more of a fraud because then they'll just jack up inflation and bring it back, and that robs you even of your... That's why so much money chases the stocks. A lot of people know this stuff. It's because at least there might be something of value there.
Well, Vladimir Lenin said the best way to destroy the United States was through a series of inflations so that the government could privately steal the money of the middle class. Folks, this is not something new. This is a planned event.
I just want to interject real quick. So your advice is to just cut my losses and get out.
Well, you've got to make your own decision on that. But just look and see if you've got any derivatives in your 401ks or mutual funds. If you do, be very wary.
And George is a former city council member. He has a degree in economics, and he has also been forecasting this, as many others have. It's just history. It's not that hard. Ma'am, thanks for your call.
Thank you.
Take care. Okay, we have got to get to some local issues right now for about 5 minutes. We play that at the first. I want to talk about Judge Elshire for a second, and then we're going to go to some different clips. Judge Elshire is a fraud. And this Chronicle article, can we get a close-up, guys? This issue of the Chronicle, the August 28th, 1998 issue, because this will be back on later, I have to say that. Right here, Judge Elshire, you know, how long has he been up there at the county court?
12 years.
Yeah, 12 years. And he's been judged for how long?
12 years. He's been head of the county commissioners for 12 years.
And this guy, who I've been on his tail for quite a while, because he's a liar. He's a consummate liar. And he sits up there and licks his lips and picks his nose and thinks he acts like a rodent. He acts like a grade A rat. I know that's not a personal attack. This man is a living snake. And he's worked for all the big Democrat campaigns. He's been installed. And George is fixing to give you the numbers. He's got the draft FY99 county budget. He also has the other. Let's get a close-up, please. He also has a lot of other information. But let me give you a few examples of his lies to me first off. They, year and a half ago, had a bond package for $2,031,000 just for the 3 acres under the roof for a helicopter base. And I believe $8 million more just for the 2 new helicopters for Starflight. They already had 2 other helicopters. And it's for Starflight. Well, my God, I could die in a car wreck. I actually want Starflight. It's pretty cool. Everybody goes out and votes for Starflight. And I brought you the actual county purchase orders. I had them on the air many times here. You can call that and find out for yourself. It's for the Sheriff's Department's command complex. We had Margot Fraser on tape admitting it with flare that can see through your walls. If you doubt that, the Sony Handycam just got recalled because a little cheap camera could see through your clothes if you use the night vision attribute during the day. They can see right through your walls and see heat sources. Total invasion of privacy. You'll say, what do you have to hide? Guys, it's the government has the greatest license and the greatest will to exert force in history. You need to fear them, not the local thug. They're the consolidated thugs. And most of them are just dupe bureaucrats that think they're doing good. They're part of the system. That's the best kind of servant, is one that thinks they're doing something good. Elshire lied about that, so they told you it was for Starflight. It was really for a police state. And I would even vote against the police having helicopters if they didn't have flare or they had a weakened version. I want tests done on these. Where's the FCC checking these suckers out? The police cars are putting them on top of their police cars. I mean, this is a big, serious problem. Elshire lied about ASAP. Elshire, I asked him point blank 3 weeks ago if the county budget was $13 million over because I had the numbers. He said, no longer, we've cut the budget. Well, it came out. Well, sure. Sure, they've balanced it because they increased the budget. He's a consummate liar. Now to George Humphrey with the actual draft FY99 county budget. And I'm only just getting started. Judge Elshire, I don't care if you don't think what I care. You love to say that to everybody. I don't care. People need to know. People need to know what a piece of filth you are, in my opinion. Piece of lying, filthy garbage. Go ahead.
For whatever it's worth, my adjectives are a little bit different, but I have a very strong...
Well, hey, talk about that lady. You go out and meet people, and they're just taking people's houses. You're supposed to get mad about that.
I am mad.
You know, I can go out and yell for the Cowboys all day long, and I'm a good American, but I get pissed about women and old people losing their damn houses? Judge Elshire, how do you sleep at night? Let's talk about lies real fast, and then we'll get to the budget. Okay. Let's talk about Nelda Wells Spears, Travis County tax assessor and tax collector. We played the interview. Now, that's not flare, that's just a video camera. We played the interview with Nelda Wells Spears. And what did Nelda Wells Spears say? I asked her about how they take people's houses. Hundreds of them every couple of months in the paper. They show them on Channel 17 here on cable all the time every year. Hundreds of houses that have been taken. Hundreds of businesses. Oh, they didn't pay their fair share. It's like the Soviet Union. Now, let's get back to this. I asked her point blank, why do you put levies and liens on houses to take them? We don't do that. I go, you put them on every year. And she goes, oh, yes, we do place a lien on every home at the start of every year, even before it's time to pay the taxes. But we don't take houses. I said, yes, you do. Well, talk to me. Starts trying to get away from me. And, of course, I got in her face. Not in a rude manner, but I said, how do you sleep at night? You're taking people's homes. They don't take rich people's houses usually. They'll have a few highly televised events every year nationwide to make you think they're going after the rich. They don't. They go after middle class or working class people because they can't fight it. They lay down to the mobster behavior, the extortion. Now, George Humphrey, give them the lies out of the county budget. Okay. Elshire, you liar. Shame on you.
Yeah, this comes from the draft FY99 Travis County budget. This is the second paragraph right in the front. And I want to read this to you. This budget is balanced after implementing approximately $6.8 million in budget cuts and eliminating 51 staff positions. A few non-property tax sources of revenue from fees were increased, but the county is very limited by the state law in its ability to increase such revenues. Folks, this is garbage. It's incorrect and it's lies. All you have to do is go back and look, which most people don't. The budget for this year, FY 97-98, was $301 million. For the coming year, they are proposing an increase to $439 million.
Now, how much was it 12 years ago before Elshire got in?
The year Elshire, his first budget was $79 million. In 12 years, the total spending of the budget has gone up 281%, or 23% a year. If you take population and inflation and put them together, the budget has gone up 3 times faster than those rates. Folks, this is a rip-off. This is a concentrated effort.
Let me stop you before we get back into this information. Now, you just saw
and that 281% was on the $301 million, not on the $439.
Yeah. Oh, and that's not the debt that we're committed to. Let's show them this real fast. There it is. Okay, that is the draft FY 1999 Travis County budget adopted by the Travis County Commissioners Court on August 20th, 1998. Hot off the presses, about 10 days old. Now, you probably think this is all for you. Let's take the city budget, which is over $1 billion now, correct?
Oh, the city budget is about $1.3 billion.
Okay,
that includes our utilities.
Let's talk about what the city did. Now, the county's not even as bad as the city.
No, actually, the county's worse, relatively.
Well, for size, but I mean, I'm talking about...
They're both bad.
I'm talking about total numbers.
Okay, total numbers.
Well, I mean, is the county doing these land grabs for 65 million, 15,000 acres?
It
well,
depends
let's
on
get into that. Let's have that debate in a second. But I just... And we need to start...
You know who's worse? The AISD.
Yes, we need to start what's for the children. That's a great scapegoat.
For the children.
There's Judge Elshire, piece of just total liar, piece of garbage, in my opinion. Now, and we've proven that he's a liar here today. Now, the fact that I'm trying to... And then the Chronicle, who's a decent paper, I mean... But they're sitting there acting like he's this guy that always stands up for the people in here. He's a tough guy, but he does it his way.
He's a straight shooter.
Yeah, straight shooter's the word.
Baloney.
Big government. But here's the point. What did they buy? I looked at the draft budget that came out about a month ago in the Statesman. 3% for roads and public works. 3% for roads, something we'll all use, and public works. You know, new swimming pools and things. 11% for parks and land buys. They're not building roads, man. That's all federal you see coming through here.
You know where there's huge...
They're not filling the potholes. 3% of the budget could fill the potholes. They don't even... 3%! 3% for all the roads.
And that's what they're supposed to be doing, is taking care of roads. They have become a total social organization. The bureaucracy itself has built and built and built.
It's all going to $300,000 paychecks.
If you look at the number of employees in the county 12 years ago and today, it has exploded. It has exploded at a rate far faster than inflation and population put together. And folks, and then the pay raises. One of the things we didn't talk about is the county commissioners voted for their own pay raises. They're making a tremendous
amount. Was it
160
something?
No, it's not that much. I think it's about $85,000.
No, I think it's a...
No, it's not that much, but it's a huge amount, and it's
Hold on a
right.
minute. Hold on a second. Now, I want to
It went from $63,000 about 4 years ago, and the judge is making, I think, about $84,000. I'm not sure of that, but the point is, regardless,
George,
whatever the
I need
number
to check
is,
that out, because I actually believe the city council gets paid $32,000, right?
No, the city council members get paid $30,000 plus perks, and the mayor gets $35,000.
Okay, well, I read in the paper 32.
Okay, whatever.
And then I'm thinking here it's 166 or something with the commissioners.
Okay, well, I don't think it's that much, but it doesn't make any difference. The point is that they voted for large increases on their own salary.
But I'm not going to argue with you. I mean, you used to be a city council member.
And folks, the fact is that the AISD, the city and the county, especially AISD and the county, have increased their tax levies for the last 15 years at rates so far in excess of what we are getting. We're not getting our money's worth. What we're getting is larger bureaucracies,
bigger salaries.
Bigger salaries, more people on welfare, on government welfare, and the kids, the school teachers. You know who's getting the worst deal is the school teachers.
But the superintendent's getting $300 grand. School planners, don't they get that much?
Folks, what is going on is lunacy.
It's lunacy. Let's take some phone calls, then we'll go to this story. And again, that's in your face, guys. In your face. Judge Elshire, and they say he's out of politics. What a lie. I'll bet $1 million that this guy's going to be back in politics in 4 years. He's going to law school now.
Well, but in the thing I want to stress is it's not just Bill. It's all the other county commissioners. It's all the other AISD board members. And it's all the other city council members who don't have the gumption or the strength or the knowledge to try and live within their financial means. And it's incredible. If they
No,
want
they
something-
just accept it. See, that's the part of group culture. Now, we're fixing to go to your calls, but I want to tell you, I'm going to try to be down there tomorrow. I'm down there almost every week, but be down there at 9 o'clock tomorrow, 10 after 9. You can speak for about 3.5, 4 minutes, and it re-airs about 12 times, and you need to come down. We only had a few people down, that's a few months ago, but we've had up to 40 people that have been there. We've had about 35 that have spoken before, and it really annoys the hell out of them. Plus, we've gotten some programs changed. We did get the ASAP program cut back. That's where they send constables out to your house. We got the helicopter base cut down. We have the sheriff on...
Tell them what the ASAP program is real quick. A lot of people still don't know
The
what
Absent
that is.
Student Assistance Program is for elementary only. They send armed constables out to your house the first time you miss, but no longer because of us. They admit that.
A third grader,
Well,
if
hold on.
they're an hour late.
This is the point. There's also $500 and something fines. How much is it, Mike? Is it 550 or is it 500?
500 after the third time.
Okay, 500. And they sit there, and now the state education code that Steve Lane went and got says a truancy is 6 to 10 absences, but they're giving them out. They're just doing whatever the hell they want.
Folks, a third grader who misses school for whatever reason, and they send an armed constable to your house.
That's to teach the parents.
This is loony.
Up to Mike. Now I've got reports of 9. Mike's the one that's really been researching this. How late do we have these reports? He's going to run in and tell us.
One out, Janie Perez on the east side over here at 12:30 at night.
Janie Perez on the east side. Did you say 12:30 at night?
That's what he said.
Yeah, Janie Perez on the east side, 12:30 at night. Now, we're fixing to go to some phone calls and then to some stories, but real fast I wanted to tell you, tomorrow, 9 o'clock, Stokes Buildings, 314 West 11th, and we'll put that up for you. Be down there, speak on the budget, speak on Elshire, just get in their face, exercise it. God, there's so many of you watching. I run into you at grocery stores, at the movie theater, at the mall, at the lake. I run into you at work. I run into you everywhere I go. Fans everywhere, people that want to get involved. Come down.
Folks, we can make a difference because this final budget is not passed, and the final budget hearing is on September the 29th. And through persistence and through truth and through numbers, we can change
Well, we've
this.
at least got to stand up. We've got to break the cycle. We've got to see big things start small. And I was unable to go to the budget hearing at 5 or 6 at night because I was on the radio. But again, I need people down there. I will probably be there tomorrow morning. I usually go, but I have a lot of business to take care of tomorrow. It's your job. Get down there tomorrow. Let's take 2 calls, 3 calls, then we're going to the first clip. And Mike, if you could tell me what clip we're going to. Now, be there tomorrow. I know we're ranting and raving, but it's important. It's common sense. Hello, you're on the air.
Alex,
Yeah.
I want to get involved.
Come down tomorrow.
Okay, Alex, I will be there.
Okay.
Good.
See you there, Alex.
I appreciate your call. Come down tomorrow, and there's a comment line if you want to confer with my producer, Mike. Does a great job. Hello, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I wanted to make a comment about something I heard. EMS has been having some controversy as to whether or not it's going countywide or not. And I heard that Karen Sunleitner was making derogatory comments about you, Alex, out of the blue without anyone even bringing you up.
I didn't see that, but we have her saying, calling me a conspiracy theorist, calling me a kook. We've played that. I mean, she does that openly.
Sir, this is, she has been having private meetings with the EMS people, trying to convince them on what a great idea it is. She's been taking, like, the supervisors and...
Well, she's going to be taking over for Elshire because she's shown the rodent-like behavior that they love so much.
Well, what's interesting is I've known Karen for a long time, too. And 5 years ago, I used to be with a group called Tax Freeze 92, and Karen came out in 93, and she said that if she was elected county commissioner, she wouldn't vote for any tax increases. Every year since she's been in, county tax increases have gone up far faster than the rate of inflation, and now she's voting for the largest tax increase in the history of Central Texas.
Yeah, she's on a power trip, ladies and gentlemen.
And something else. I watched your interview with the sheriff.
Margot Frazier?
Yeah, it was played, I guess, a week ago or so. And I remember you asking her about the traveling defense, okay, to, you know, if you had a weapon in your car, a handgun, okay?
It is to their discretion. Papers, please. We will decide if you can travel or what you can do. Does it matter if you do not have a criminal record? We decide, we authorize, and the cameras are watching you.
Do you understand me? We're going to watch you very carefully.
Let's see. I actually got arrested for that.
What do you have to hide, sir? Do you wish to have your property seized? In the name of the people?
It's incredible. We have a Second Amendment, which is as clear as it can
The
be.
Second Amendment is an outdated motum. The Fuhrer, President Clinton, has an excellent policy to protect the children. Are you against the children? Are you against cleanliness and order? We will use all the water we want, but the peasants will not use the water. I have had enough of you for now, Mr. Humphrey. We need order. Yes, it is permitted. We will do what is permitted.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm just playing a Nazi for you.
Yeah, I know you do that. But, you know, I learned a lot of things about that ordeal since I had to go through it. And what it boils down to, it used to be a defense against arrest, but now it's a defense against prosecution, which means that on the discretion of the police officer, no matter what condition the handgun is in, he can arrest you for it right there on the spot.
Of course, you have a deadly firearm, but we're going to release all the criminals we can. We're going to hire quite a few of them. They are willing to do what it takes. They have the will.
I'm just doing a Dr. Strangelove. Absolutely, sir. I'm sorry that happened to you.
But well, it goes on.
But it's okay. You can be licensed to carry one, just like in Germany in '33.
It gets worse. I'm a gun nut. I mean, I like guns. I like to read about guns. I like gun history.
Well, I want to say this about guns. Guns are very dangerous tools, but automobiles kill 3 to 4 times guns a year. Look, you're good people. If you'll follow the law, you won't have a gun. You have a green light for the criminals. New York City, District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., the worst crime in the country, and guns are absolutely illegal.
Just read what Thomas Jefferson had to say about the Second Amendment. They made the Second Amendment because it was the second most important reason. And he said it was not about duck hunting. He didn't say that, but he said the reason that we want the citizens to have guns is to protect them from the government. That's the reason.
Thanks for the
we have
call.
the Second Amendment.
Firearms are the teeth and the strength of the Constitution. Without them, evil men and tyrants flourish. And that, of course, is our first president. What's going on? Oh, okay.
We're going to play that again.
We're going to play that right now? Oh, okay. And, of course, that was George Washington. We're playing it tomorrow night.
Alex, I've got something right here. This is an article that I just saw. It's called Confirmed, Banks and Fed in Bed with Drugs. In America's war on drugs, Uncle Sam's left hand is unaware what his right hand is doing. The global narcotics trade, having grossed a record $400 billion last year, owes its prosperity not to face the smugglers or street corner traffickers. The culprits are the Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan and Treasury Secretary Robert Rubin.
Hey, this month, I couldn't believe it, the cover of the Esquire, it's a big feature story in the August issue of Esquire, or maybe it's September. I've got it out in the car. In fact, during the break, I'll go grab it. Unbelievable. They have heads of drug task force, top-level DA people. Yeah, the CIA flies drugs into airports. Yeah, we tried to bust them, but for national security reasons, we couldn't.
But it's also not just about drugs. The Federal Reserve Board is actually behind a lot of the stuff in the $50 billion bailout.
$3 billion was caught. $3 billion was found about a year ago, remember, in the Dallas branch and the San Antonio branch of the Federal Reserve.
Folks, the $50 billion that went down to Mexico
It rated a small little story in the back.
It didn't help one single Mexican farmer or businessman. It went to pay off Citicorp. Folks, and that's our money. Mexico is still as much in debt and paying, and all the Mexicans are paying into the IMF. But where's that money going? To the Rockefeller-owned banks that are controlled, and then Rubin and Greenspan are behind this.
So what do we do? What do we do? We expose the fraud. Now, we're fixing to go to this first story, but I want to tell you, every Thursday at 5:30 on Channel 10, you can watch the Freedom Report, but this is just this month. Next month, we're going to have all new show times, so stay tuned for the Freedom Report and exposing corruption and all the rest of the stuff. Right here. But coming up September 10th, we're going to re-air the water story. They may have seen that earlier. The county using all the water, 1.6 million gallons we find out now, at their leisure. And but coming up next is going to be, what is the next clip that we're going to play, Mike? Because I'm not sure. Okay, we're going to play the General Drago interview. Okay, this is a comical piece. It's about 2.5 minutes long, and then we'll be right back. And then a little bit later, when Mike fast forwards that part, we're going to go to some radio from KVET Radio. You want to stay tuned for that. But here is General Drago, and it's a comical, but it's not really funny. General Drago and President Yeltsin discussing how the IMF pays them off and their view on the world and life. George, thanks for being here tonight, and you're staying with us, right?
Yeah, you bet.
Fantastic. Let's go to that. Monetary fund, and what they told Russia about 2.5 months ago. We're in late August right now. The IMF told Yeltsin, if you'll quadruple your income taxes, we'll give you the $22 billion to supposedly bail out your economy. No, it was just a payoff to consolidate more wealth through the central banks. Yes, the IMF pretty much controls the International Bank of Settlements, and the World Bank control our Federal Reserve. Private, not public, not the people's house. Now let's get to this comedy piece, but it's, again, not comedy, of President Yeltsin and General Drago discussing how they wish that they were more like America, a more high-tech police state.
Galen, thanks, George. General Dragov, it is good to see you again, comrade.
Thank you, President Yeltsin, comrade.
You know, I am concerned. I have feelings about the IMF, the kickbacks we are receiving. Do you think they're going to pay us if we quadruple the income tax?
President Yeltsin, comrade, ever since you ran the Central Soviet here from Moscow, we have trusted in you well. The IMF, which installed a great leader, Lenin, has always paid on time if we guarantee them higher taxes and control of the population.
You know, we can control them with the media, which is what we should do, like the Clinton people over in the United States. Comrade Clinton has done well. You remember in 1968 when he came over here, we taught him everything.
Yes, we drank vodka. He had such a pretty little beard. He looked like, who was it that wrote our famous document? Oh, yes, Karl Marx, I forget. Oh, how we beguiled the serfs back into control after we killed the czars for our banker controllers. Oh, it's so wonderful. And now they're raiding the banks, President Yeltsin. I just wish we could go back to the old days and kill 50 million like the media used to call him in America, Uncle Joe Stalin.
Yes, Stalin was quite the man. You know, I think we will have more vodka now with the
yes,
from the IMF.
I just want to thank you. Look at the pitifuls out the window as they beg for sausages. I think we should retire to our villas and our prostitutes. Communism, what a joke. We're just thugs.
We are living the life.
We are living the life. Oh, Clinton is coming next week.
And they call me president. They call you General Drago.
Yes, and they say that organized crime is taking over Russia. It's just the KGB. Oh, and America is our friend now, working together.
It is wonderful.
I wish we had it like America, President. I wish we had all of those cameras on all the street corners. I wish we had the police dressing in black. They're getting so much better than us.
And the helicopters.
No, so lovely helicopters.
Many helicopters.
But I guess they will be like us soon. They would have sucked off the population so far that no one will care, and the best defense against tyranny once you've been subdued is just to not produce and lay in the gutter.
That is too bad for the peasants, but we will drink lots of vodka.
But there's always IMF money, our friends. Oh, we took the $22 billion and quadrupled the serfs' taxes.
So we could pay it to them so we would get the kickback.
Exactly.
This is wonderful.
Let us retire. Thank you, my comrade.
Good to see you. Good night.
All right, now we're fixing to play a quick excerpt from the Sammy and Bob show, Sammy Allred and Bob Cole of KVET Radio, who have made fun of people that have called in the past and talked about issues of freedom and liberty. But now they're starting to copy the act, and we think that's great. We want more people to speak out about civil liberties and talk about the growing police state. So Sammy Allred, you've even stolen some of my bits, like clips from the network film, and that's great. We want you to do that. In fact, you did a damn good job. Sammy, you did better than me. My hat's off to you. Alex Jones, great job. Join the team. You're not part of the establishment. Be part of the people. Now let's get to this.
excellent job talking about drug testing in the schools. This is the Freedom Report. Random drug testing. Listen to this.
Hello, K-Vet.
Hey, yeah. I just wanted to say, Sammy, my kids go to Leander, and I'm with you on that drug testing for the kids.
Well,
I
sure.
don't believe in it. But let me pick your brain about this.
I don't believe in. I'm not advocating that the childrens go out and drink and do drugs.
No,
Damn, this.
But in our case, it happened to work.
Yeah.
I don't think they should test the kids. But let me ask you this.
Sorry.
I had a brother who was an anesthetist. You know, he used to put people to sleep on the operating tables, and he was addicted. He even had a HEP line going. He was so addicted. And then when he went to treatment, there were not only doctors and nurses, but there were airline pilots also who were, flying our planes and stuff. What do you think about that? People who are responsible for other people's lives about random drug testing. I'll go ahead and hang up.
Ma'am, I believe in the don't hang up.
Okay.
I believe in the Constitution of the United States, which says you've got to have probable cause. About how many airline pilots do you think walk up to the airport, check in, and they're all doped up and nobody notices?
Well, it's not necessarily that they're doped up to the point where you can tell. My sister was also a stewardess, and she would have...
So you're giving me a bunch of individual cases here like Hitler did.
Well,
Hitler started out with a smoking ordinance, and his big slogan was, if you're not doing anything wrong, it's okay to do this. If you want a police state, period, that's what you want. If you don't, you want a free country, and there ain't no in-between.
But now, Sammy, Hitler kept the trains running on time.
He did, and
Mark Schott told me that.
And he built some good highways.
He had some great ideas.
She flew for 20 years, so she saw...
But Mark Schott said he just didn't go for it.
Maybe they should hire him for Capital Metro.
That's right. Oh, he goes gone ditches, grabs the mic. You said a mouthful when you talk to it. No, it's a touchy, but that's how they take over East Germany and Russia and all the other countries. We'd be slaves before long.
Well, have you ever had surgery?
Pardon?
Have you ever had surgery?
Now, how did you say?
Oh, yeah, I've had 4 surgeries, and they all start with an H.
Would you like to make sure that the person who's operating...
Ma'am, that doesn't make any difference on earth. No, ma'am, you got a very fake, false case. It sounds good. I'm going to fly today, ma'am, and whether they randomly test the pilots on Southwest, I don't worry. I'd rather be dead in a plane crash than live in a police state. I'd rather die today, ma'am, than to live in a police state. If that's what you want, you go ahead and you'll have a perfect society to live in. Do you consider getting drunk anything wrong?
Yeah.
Why don't they ever tell the kids, let's not go out and get drunk?
Yeah, they should.
Oh, they don't? Why ain't President Clinton up there having a war on alcohol?
He should.
He isn't. He's worried about smoking cigarettes.
Alcohol causes...
And jazzing 21-year-old interns. Well, enough of this saving the world.
I don't think worried is the word he's using either. Word ain't enough. Words are running out.
Let me rephrase that.
Well, I'm really glad that they've decided...
All right. All right. I'll tell you what, Samuel Allred's a good guy, and he really is not a part of the establishment. He's a part of Texas, and those words from him are very important. Good going. And those tapes are
Mike did a great
incredible.
job taping that.
Yeah, he did. He really did.
All right. Let's go ahead and take some calls, and you got some stuff you want to get into.
Yep.
We've talked about a lot tonight. What's going on globally, and these New York and Boston bond houses installing people like this who vote for more and more debt.
The debt virus to enslave us. We've got the highest per capita debt of any place in the country.
Hello, you're on the air. The age of big government has just begun. It is not over. That's the big scam. Clinton draws a big zero. I want you to
The relative size of government in the United States is federal, state, and local has gone from 23% in 1967 to 42%. That is almost an 80% increase in 20 years. Folks, while the manufacturing has gone down, the way we make our wealth, the service industry and government has gone up. That's why we're going bankrupt.
This country's being deindustrialized except for our microchips and things.
Right.
You're on the air, caller.
At the Commissioner's Court that you only have 3.5 to 4 minutes to speak. That doesn't seem to me to be enough time to get your point across.
No, if you're succinct and pointed and there's enough people coming down, and again, that's tomorrow at 9 o'clock at the Stokes Building, 314th West 11th.
So you have to have a certain amount of people to get a certain amount of time?
No, I'm just saying it's good to have a lot of people down there bitching. It takes up a lot of their time, and they think about it. We've changed a few things. It's only been about probably 100 people that have gone down there all together.
But they only give you 3.5 to 4 minutes to speak, to state your mind, or is that what you said? I'm sorry. I thought that's what you said earlier.
Well, pardon me, ma'am?
I thought that's what you said earlier, is you only got like 3.5 to 4 minutes to speak your mind, or...
Yep, each person, but if you have a lot of people coming down...
Oh, they each get their time?
Yes, they do.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd like to say
please
that
come down.
What Alex and Rusty Fields and some other and Mike have done, the first time in years and years people have gone down and spoken down at the county, and they really deserve a lot of credit for this. It's a lot of their time and their energy.
Yeah,
and
usually
money.
it's people there begging for something.
Oh, everybody down there is a lobbyist. I tell you what, and the biggest lobbyist of all is the staff. The staff lobby them for more government, more money.
And they're there every day. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, I'm just wondering if you could repeat your schedule again. I just was channel surfing, saw you guys on, and was riveted. Couldn't keep going.
Okay, there's a problem. It's not a big problem. Every year we get new show times. Okay, this show's been here for 2 years at this time. What you can do is just look in your show world in the Statesman at the end of every week and look in the ACTV areas. Look for shows like Exposing Corruption, The Freedom Report, Transcending Control, Common Sense. Look for names like that, and you'll get a lot of good information from those programs.
Okay, super. Thanks a lot. You guys.
Thanks for watching.
More like you two on the air, I think.
Well, we're trying to push this guy up here and get him on more.
That's great. Thanks.
Thank you for your call, sir. Hello, you're on the air.
Hey, guys. I just thought I'd put something in a little more perspective when you're talking about the Rockefellers.
Well, that's just one group. I don't even want to get focused on individuals.
Well, let me just put it this way.
It's the system.
I know it's a system, but when I went back to college in the early 70s, one of my professors, in an hour-and-a-half class, his entire class was nothing more than reading a list of companies owned and controlled by the Rockefellers.
They broke Standard Oil up into 8 companies. They still all controlled all of them.
But he listed an hour and a half, and he was still talking and listing company names when we walked out of the classroom. That was an hour and a half. There's a lot of companies.
Sir, where's the CFR chart?
They've got that. David Rockefeller is the chairman of the CFR. He is the founder of the Trilateral Commission, and he has been a major member of the Bilderbergers. These are the 3 most important political organizations in the world, and David Rockefeller and his family is head of the North American part of the Illuminati.
Well, that's my point was if people could, if they put it in perspective, if people could realize that to speak for an hour and a half and do nothing but read companies and controlling...
and how did he do this? Through alliances with government. Yep. It's socialism for the elite because they can't deal with competitiveness, so they use regulators to go in like the mafia. Now, there's a list of some of the shows that are like-minded programs in a lot of respects here on Access TV, and it's just all different individual producers, and they come up and put out a lot of good information. Some shows come on once a month, some shows come on every single week.
Here, let me give you a quote from David Rockefeller not too long ago. Quote, "It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subject to the bright light of publicity during those years. But the world is now more sophisticated and prepared to march toward a world government." David Rockefeller is head of the power elite here in North America.
Let's take just a few more calls, and then we'll go ahead and wind up with closing statements. Hello, you're on the air.
Hey, Eric. Hey,
there's nobody named Eric here. My name's Alex. This is George Humphrey.
I'm sorry. Hey, I just went up to Municipal Airport and saw 14 Apache helicopters and 5 Black Hawk helicopters.
Yeah, there's a lot of maneuvers going on. A lot of that's out in the open military.
Let me tell you.
Then there's CIA. Then there's Delta. Then there's Special Marine Task Force.
Let me tell you something. My brother-in-law is a member of the Army SWAT team.
Yeah, I know.
Army SWAT team.
They're all special
You know why
units.
the Army has their own SWAT team?
Yeah, they've all got
They can overcome everybody else's county and city SWAT team.
Sir, this is all very, very serious. Everybody's creating
If
their
you
own.
go out to the airport right now, you can watch. You can
Everyone
see.
is creating their own.
That's why they want that 13-acre hangar sitting out there and put it together with EMS and Brackenridge sit there and make that 13-acre hangar. So they sit there and keep these undercover. If you go out to the airport right now, there's 14 Apache helicopters and 5 Blackhawks.
Sir, I've seen them flying in. A lot of good information. Thank you for your call.
The Fourth Amendment of the United States, one of the major foundational points of the foundation of the United States is posse comitatus, in which our founding fathers said that federal forces should not get involved with local law enforcement. That has kept our country strong. Austinites can take care of Austinites' problems. We don't need these folks from Washington, D.C.
Tell them about Delta.
And the Delta Force, which is part of the
secret government.
It's unbelievable that the United States government this year has a $78 billion, not million, billion-dollar black budget in which our money goes into the FEMA, the CIA, and the NSA, in which not only we can't find out where that money goes,
Let me list
but
something.
our representatives can't find it.
$78 billion. CIA gets $23 billion alone. Now let's talk, and that's not counting their drug profits, things we don't know about, child pornography, other things that we've run documentaries on. I know it's unbelievable, but it's the history of the world if you face it. Let me go through this real fast. 6.5 months ago, William Cohen announced on national television the creation of 10 secret regional teams. He announced that it's secret, it's here, but he didn't announce the details. Just in the paper several weeks ago, I read it here on the air, the Statesman, 50 new National Guard teams. Then they've created, the CIA has its own teams, and I've shown it here, the Statesman admitting it's CIA black helicopter bases, and they made it like a big joke and had the townsfolk up in North Carolina saying how much they loved it. In fact, we can cue that up, Mike, if you have the L.A. Philippus Delta Force tape, it's at the first. If we have time to get that on the last few minutes, I'd love to get that up. You're doing a great job. FEMA has nothing to do with disasters. Only 7% of their funding is for disasters. The other 93% is black budget.
Right, absolutely. It's terrible. And lo and behold, 2 days after the Oklahoma City bombing, President Clinton, through his lackey, Charles Schumer, out of New York, introduced the anti-terrorist bill. In the anti-terrorist bill, they can tap your telephone without a warrant. They can use the CIA, the FBI, and the Delta Force to come in and arrest people and get involved in local law enforcement and override a constitutional foundation.
Delta tried to come into San Antonio and tried to bribe people. And there's Henry B. Gonzales talking about the concentration camps.
Good guy.
He came out and admitted it. Congressman Ron Paul, a Republican, has admitted it, Republicans and Democrats. But we played those clips at nauseum. Let's take 2 more calls. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah, Schumer should definitely burn in hell. Schumer was a very bad guy. I was calling to see if you can run that list again of those shows that you just ran, because I want to record it so I can make notes of the shows.
Yeah, we'll try to do that. Mike's trying to get us a Delta Force deal right now, but there's some concentration camp facilities, according to Congressman. Thanks for your call. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hello, Alex. Hello, George.
Hey, what's going on, Rusty Fields?
I just got back from my son's back-to-school night at Bowie High School. Boy, that was great. I got to meet his economics teacher. What an interesting guy. We had a very short conversation, but I could tell it's going to be a lot longer. I just wanted to call in, and I missed the entire show. Hey, I got to tell you, you guys look good together down there. You guys look good together. And there's one other thing I just wanted to bring up real quick. I know you've been out. Today I checked. I lost 20% of my 401k. 20% this week. I think that's something people should think about. I hope some people call and check on theirs and find out what's going on with that.
Rusty Fields, I'll tell you what, this is a guy that I've known for a while, and not too long ago he left his job so that he could work to let people know that the Constitutional Republic of the United States is under attack and that the police state is taking over.
And Rusty's well off. Good guy. That's how he was able to do it.
He's a great guy, and he is dedicating his life for this right now. And folks, all of this, you can have all the information in the world, but if you don't get inspired and if you don't get involved, if you don't get educated, if you don't tell other people, the momentum's going to continue.
And Rusty will be back Monday night hosting this show.
He's a great guy.
From 7 to 8:30 p.m. Rusty, we got to go. We only got 2 minutes left.
Okay, guys. See you soon.
Take care. That is Rusty Fields, excellent guy. In fact, we're talking about starting some steering committees and trying to get people together and figure out real political action, not grandstanding, which most of us are guilty of. And also, there's a new South Austin station. It is they coming in to tell me right as I did it. That's great. I love it. That way they could say I wasn't going to do it until they told me. It is 95.9. So there's 95.9 that is pirate, as you know it, or micro, not interfering with any other stations in far North Austin, and now in South Austin, far South Austin, off William Cannon and things, 95.9 FM Patriot Radio.
I love Mike Hanson Archives.
Stay tuned right here for more classics on this channel here, Hanson Archives. But to fund this station, I'm offering, if you send us $25, we'll send you a signed copy of Bohemian Grove, Cult of Conspiracy. It was forwarded by Tex Mars that just recently passed away. Also, Alex Jones has a chapter in here. And you know that's good. There's us in our younger days. But on the address that you see, send us $25 and we will send you a signed copy, or give us a call at 830-672-3089 and you can put it on a credit card. We'll send it right out. But that's what we need to help fund this channel, folks. So help us get all the classics uploaded to YouTube. We got hundreds and hundreds of old Alex Jones and Jeff Davis and a bunch of other Patriots that we need to upload. About 25-year-old tapes.
Come on, anybody want to come up here? All right, that's it. All right, who wants to lead it? Let Gene go. Go ahead. Yes, sir. All right. God bless the Republic.